Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Also available on Anchor for our audio shows. Joining me today, Alex and Graeme, for an unexpected episode, if you like. Jose Mourinho fired, Super League announced. Where do we begin? Graeme, talk to me. Jose gone a week out from the cup final.
Yeah. In my opinion, it's not ideal to sack him at this stage with only a few games left of the season left. It's I said it on previous shows. We haven't been playing great with the tactics and all that, but his second seemingly it's over to do with this whole Super League thing. It wasn't down to the results we've been getting. Obviously, the board had been happy the way how shit we've been playing, but the announcement of us joining the Super League put him over the boil, and he said he didn't want to be a part of it, and that was it.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one, really, isn't it, when you think about it? Because although the board wouldn't have been happy with him, they probably financially wouldn't have been in a position to get rid of him either, because it'd be a huge payoff.
Yeah.
But I wonder, did Levy today take advantage of the situation in terms of, if the story that's coming out at the moment is that he refused to take training this morning on the backbone of the Super League announcement, he would be then, I would imagine, in breach of contract and would be in a position to be sacked, and potentially not a whole lot of compensation would have to be paid.
Yeah.
So I wonder, did Levy take advantage of that situation when it came up and said, well, here's an opportunity, because we're probably going to get rid of him in the summer anyway. Because the results haven't been good enough at all. And I think most Spurs fans, you've been on the show a number of times now, would agree that his time was more or less up anyway at Spurs.
Yeah.
Alex, what was your thinking on it?
You know, as a Chelsea fan, usually when I would see Mourinho getting sacked, and I'd be like thinking, oh, great. On a normal day, I'd come on here and I'd joke about it, and be like, oh, Mourinho sacked, what do you expect? Because you'd sacked at other clubs. But this is different. I think the announcement of that Super League last night and Mourinho getting sacked the next day is too coincidental to not be linked to each other. I think that, I believe the reports, I think that Jose is traditionalist. I think, say what you will about him, I think he is a football fan and at heart he likes the way things are. So if he has gone to Daniel Levy and said, look, I'm not taking the team for training, I don't agree with this league, and he's got sacked, then I think he deserves all the respect in the world.
Yeah, it's a real difficult one to call at the moment when you think about it, because of course we don't know why he was sacked. All we know is that he's gone, and there's plenty of rumors. But it's a weird one, Graeme. You're a week out from potentially winning a trophy, that coveted trophy that Spurs crave so much, in terms of their pursuit of hoping to keep Harry Kane or keep your top players, and also attract in other players.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
It's not the ideal time to sack a manager. Like I said, with a few games remaining, plus with a cup final, to get our first trophy in the cabinet for so many years. But it's the way things are dealt. If you have that position, you don't want to stay. Simple as.
Yeah, it's amazing, Alex, isn't it, when you think about it? Because under normal circumstances, as you said, if Jose Mourinho was sacked, it'd be worldwide massive news. But it kind of feels, with the announcement of the Super League and everything that's gone on, that it may as well be the Walsall manager that got sacked. It's so timed and dampened down.
Yeah, like any other time, it's front page news, especially with a manager the caliber of Mourinho. But again, I think it's one of those, it is big football news, but as of last night, as far as I'm concerned, the game has been brought into such disrepute and has been brought into such disgraceful territory that I think it is secondary news. And that's, that's no disrespect to Tottenham and Spurs, you know me. Usually I'm one who likes poking fun at Tottenham Spurs. I'm not poking fun at anybody like Spurs today, because I think as football fans, we're on the same boat right now with what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult one, and again, we will get into it tonight on our show, in more detail with the European Super League, because we're, as football fans, it's inbred into us, into our genetic makeup, that we're reactionary, you know. But I have the vintage, let's say, of living through the change from the European Cup, the old European Cup, to the Champions League. I have the vintage of moving from the old First Division to the Premier League. And I remember, and I hark back to those times as well, there was a lot of promises made then that didn't happen. And it's a real weird one when you hear a lot of football fans talking about, the motivation being greed, when you look at kind of indirectly who we're defending, which is UEFA, FIFA, and the FA. It's a kind of a real crossroads conundrum. And the fact that we really don't know the actual makeup of this European Super League in terms of how it would operate, what it would mean to the pyramid in terms of relegation or entry into it. It's a real conundrum. But fans are up in arms about this. But it's it definitely, as you said, it has to be linked. Jose's sacking and this has to be linked, because you don't sack a manager a week before a cup final.
Exactly, like he has had a poor run of form. The results haven't been great, but no, it doesn't make any sense sacking him a week before a cup final and this close to the end of the season. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And I can only take the detour link in the sense that Jose said to your man, leave. You look, I don't like the way you're taking this club. I don't want to be part of this. And that was it. That's what I would imagine. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see any other reason as to why you'd sack him a week before a Carabao Cup final. Yeah,
I would say, Graeme, as well, it's a weird move insofar as I understand if it's to be commended if a manager has his morals in relation to the game. But when you look at all the teams that are involved now in the Super League, in terms of the founding clubs, if you like, and on top of that, potentially the other 5 or 6 or whatever it is that might come into it, it doesn't really leave Jose Mourinho with a lot of options in terms of where he would go to next.
No.
Because most of the top clubs, if not all of them, have nearly signed up to it. And I understand, obviously, Bayern and Dortmund haven't signed up to it because there's a 51% shareholding there in terms of the fans.
The fans, yeah.
But I would assume if that wasn't the case in Germany, I mean, and Alex will probably take this as well, they probably would have signed up, wouldn't they, Alex?
I don't know. See, for me, in Germany, the ticket prices, like the season ticket prices, are so low. I think somebody was telling me that the Munich season ticket prices are about 200, 300 euro for the season. So I think in Germany, there seems to be much more of a connect with the fans, if that makes sense. It seems to be more about the fans. You see Dortmund with the yellow wall. You see Bayern Munich, they also got the players to play for the club. They really seem to care about the fans. And no, I mean, whether it's the 51% fan shareholder or whether it's something else, I commend any team that doesn't sign up for this. I think that they've done the right thing and they've stuck with their guns and stuck with what's right in football.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised if, a Bayern Munich or a Dortmund wouldn't feel that they'd need a seat at that table. Maybe if they fully understood what it was and what the ramifications of it were. I'd imagine they'd probably want a seat at that table. I'd be surprised if they didn't, if they had the majority shareholding, if you like, to make the decision.
I think they're traditionalists at the same time. I think that this is about, look, they make a lot of money. They're not going to go broke as it is. And they're competing in the Champions League. They're going to be top dogs in the Champions League. Let's make no mistake about it. They're on for their 9th Germany title in a row. They're going to win the Champions League each season. I guess these other teams aren't in it. But, they don't need this. They make enough money. They have their players. They have their system. And, I would like to think they're looking at this going, no, we don't need this. But I know, sorry to go through, I know you're going to speak, but there was talk that Chelsea and City apparently didn't want to sign up for this, felt pressure. So I'm like, no, I would much more respect a team like Bayern that sticks to their guns and a man like Mourinho.
Yeah, it'd be hard. It'd be hard to believe that Chelsea and Man City wouldn't have wanted to be involved. You know what I mean? I mean, when you think about the investment there and the owners and stuff like that, it's for them. It's massive money, and I suppose there's massive pressure on these big clubs now as well in terms of finances. With what I mean, has COVID accelerated some of these decisions in terms of the draw towards the money? Is it actually really a greed thing, or there's actually really a balance the books time the thing with the money that clubs have lost? You know?
Well, I mean, clubs make so much with TV rights, and they make so much, in being in the Premier League, they make so much progressing in Europe. So I mean, they're not going to go broke tomorrow. Like, I mean, Chelsea went out and spent 200 million euro last summer. So I mean, we're not exactly in a financial position where we're going to go bankrupt tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I suppose Chelsea and City are in a different boat in terms of the financial wealth of their owners. But if you take, for say, a club like, say, Man United, for example, who carries a heavy debt, you know what I mean? And each week they're adding to that debt all the time. So, you know, you have to look at Man United and say, with the burden of debt that they're carrying, with the way the owners, you know, kind of suck money out of the club in terms of their earnings and things like that, I wonder where they left with a decision to make.
Still, though, I mean, you look at them, they're probably going to finish second in the league. I imagine they're probably going to win that Europa League as well. You know, they're one of the biggest shirt sellers in the world. They've just signed a new deal with Team Viewer for a very lucrative sponsorship deal on their shirts. So I'm looking at they're going to be making hundreds of millions regardless.
Yeah, but if you think about Man United, and if you think in terms of the gap between them and say City, or the gap between them and say PSG, or the gap between them and Bayern Munich, and in order to bridge that gap, like I heard that short deal is 250 million or something like that, something in the region of 250 million. Like, these days, that's 3 players. You know what I mean? It seems like an awful lot of money on the face of it, but I mean, they're shackling a debt close to what? Over $500 million?
No doubt they are. No doubt they got money problems. But my point is, like, although they have that debt, like, is it worth selling your soul to clear that debt? Is it worth turning the fan base against you? And the fans that have grown up supporting you for years, for generations, basically saying to them, look, you're not important to us. It's all about money to us.
Yeah, but I mean, we will get into it later, but I mean, the fan base, you know, United washed away the FA Cup to play in the World Club Cup years ago. You know, and the fan base turned on them over that, and then it was washed away and it was back to the norm. You know, they also, I mean, we got to remember, this is not the first time that a Super League has been touted. I mean, these ideas have originally come around back in the 90s and everything through Man United and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure I'm convinced on that side of it. Again, I'm kind of sitting on the fence at the moment. I'm not sure. I haven't weighed up the good or the bad. I don't really fully understand the ramifications of it all. I don't think FIFA are going to be able to ban international players from playing for their countries. I think that would go to a court of human rights or something like that.
Yeah,
they wouldn't be allowed to do that. Plus, when you think about the sponsorship that goes into the World Cup, and you think about the world-class players wrapped up in this,
yeah,
I mean, you'd literally have a World Cup that would look really like an under-21.
Amateurs, yeah.
Graeme, what do you reckon? How's this week going to go for Spurs? What are you expecting? Like, I mean,
I think. I know I think we have Southampton on Wednesday. I think it'd be like a fucking like a chain of shackles taking off the players. All the weight is off their shoulder. They can play their attacking stuff. I think that our former player Ryan Mason is taking over for the last few games. So I think he's gonna give Bale a chance. He's gonna give Bale the remaining few games to prove what he can, and then he'll have hopefully have a like a good farewell. You know, like he helped to win the trophy and all that. But yeah, I expect to see more of attacking stuff from us. You know, the way we have been over the past few years. You know. Yeah, like I said, like on previous shows, like we have been starting our strongest sides, and our bench doesn't seem to do enough to change games. Like on the weekend against United, like he was bringing on the likes of Eric Lamela and Sissoko, but they're not gonna fucking change games for you. It's like you were taking off a Son and you're bringing on a Sissoko, and you're taking off a Højbjerg and you're bringing on a Lamela. Like they're not gonna change games for you. So we'll see how things go with the remaining few games to go. But we haven't got much to aim for now. With the whole will Hurricane stay now or will he still go? You know, that's the thing that's talked with summer after all this discussions.
Yeah, the whole thing is a madness at the moment, Alex, isn't it? Because it's like the winner of the Carabao Cup, it kind of doesn't really matter now if this all goes ahead. The top four race is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. The two semi-finals in the Champions League doesn't matter. You know, it's like the whole bottom is just falling out of football.
Yeah, like I mean, I just before we came on and did this show, I actually got a notification on my phone. One of the Chelsea news sites saying Chelsea have left the European Club Association, and I'm like, hang on, you're leaving the European Club Association a week before a Champions League semi-final. You are basically taking that Champions League and saying to the fans who, like, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, Champions League is where it's at. Champions League for me is everything, the be all and end all of football. It's the Super Bowl of football, basically.
Yeah.
And it's a case of, I'm looking at that as a fan, and the club is saying, you know, a week before the Champions League semi-final, they're saying, look, for the sake of an extra few bob, we're probably not going to play in this. When you're potentially 3 games away from winning the Champions League, I think that's a spit in the face to every single Chelsea fan, and I think it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I think listening to fans at the moment, the way they're talking, like they're talking about all their history being washed away and all that, but
yeah,
I don't believe your history gets washed away. You know what I mean? Like you still won those Champions League, you still won those leagues, you still won those FA Cups. They're ingrained in your history forever. That won't change.
I think we should be stripped of every one of them if we join this Euro League. Every single one of them.
But jeez, I mean, like if that's the case, I mean, there's absolutely going to be no football history throughout the whole of Europe. This would be your Lance Armstrong, Oprah Winfrey moment.
Well, this is, well, for me though, it's a case of joining the Super League. They're saying we don't care about the history, we care about the money. So I'm saying, yeah, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it. It's one or the other. What do you want? Do you want this corporate soulless league, or do you want the history and do you want the pomp and circumstance of these competitions?
But is it fair for the clubs at that level to think that they've been let down by the FA and UEFA?
Yeah, look, I mean, UEFA and the FA are not perfect by any means. Like, I think the revamp for UEFA for the Champions League is what kind of started all this and really got the ball rolling. So I think that, you know, they're not victimless in this. They've done it badly as well, but it's the fans that are suffering here. Like, I mean, when this was suggested, and 99.9% of the fan base said, we don't want this, it will ruin our club. You're taking away the club that we love. And they go ahead with it anyway. That's when I look and go, look, they don't care. It's just about money.
Well, I suppose some people would argue it's been about money since 1992.
Yes, and I've heard that argument. But my point to that is it has been since 1992. Yeah, look, the Breakaway League, they had their own sponsors, their own TV channel, Sky Sports. But my argument to that is that wasn't an exclusive league. Teams could go out, teams could go in. If you're setting up an exclusive league, say West Ham win the league next season, you know, oh, great, West Ham won the league. Oh, yeah, but you don't get to play in our big boy tournament. Oh, no, I mean, you know, Arsenal finished 11, but they get to play in the big boy tournament. You don't.
Well, I think they said they've come out with a format insofar as, isn't there 5 positions there up for grabs? That's what they're talking about.
You want more teams, isn't it?
They're talking about 15 teams being stable in the league and 5 positions potentially rotating. So
yeah,
there kind of is a kind of, for lack of a better word, like a relegation system, if you like.
Yeah.
So
but still, like, I mean,
there.
relegation in a 20 team league should apply to 20 teams, not 5. Like, it should be a case of anybody who has a poor season could be relegated from that league. But that's the way it works.
Yeah, but then the argument could be that the new format for the Champions League has exclusively allowed elite teams to gain access to the tournament, even if they don't qualify.
I disagree with that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at the two in comparison, and we know very little about the Super League at this stage, really, you know what I mean, in terms of the bounds and the workings of it. But on the face of it, they're kind of not dissimilar. I mean, UEFA always prioritize the bigger teams anyway as well.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the seedings, you can see it in the structure, in the way the draws are contrived. You know, they always. I mean, ultimately, I mean, for us fans at times, sometimes we think maybe the Champions League really starts in the round of 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the group stages is really just, you know, if people think that's UEFA's effort at fair play, it's a fallacy. It really is a fallacy. You know what I mean?
I do agree with you. I thought the Champions League was miles better without the seed. When you could get, say, you know, Liverpool and Barcelona in your group starting off, I agree with that. But you know, the thing about these clubs, even with the Champions League, I know they have the elite teams. My point was always, you know, you have to earn your spot in these competitions. You don't get guaranteed a spot. Like, you know, this whole, you know, we want to be guaranteed a spot in this league. No, it's like if Chelsea finish 6th, we don't get Champions League, then I accept it. That's it. You don't say, well, actually, I know West Ham finished 4th, but we're a bigger team, so we go in. Whether that's your way for the Super League, I do not agree with that at all. I think that's horrendous, and you're creating this complete imbalance of these, you know, it's like an exclusive rich boys county club or something like that. You know, we might have finished halfway down the league and you might have earned your spot there, but no, that's actually ours. We've got more money.
Yeah.
It's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. And what's the point of competing for these tournaments? What is the point of, you know, as you said, challenge for top 4 if you're just going to be guaranteed to win anyway? It's disgraceful.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality in these governing bodies as well is, I mean, you know, romancing the game and, you know, the culture in the game is really driven by the fan base. It's not driven by the authorities, if you like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's a real disconnect there anyway.
Yes.
And I just, you know, for me, when people talk about, you know, clubs losing their identity and stuff like that, I mean, you know, you go to a league game. Alex, you travel to loads of league games. I travel to loads of games and European games. You know, we get absolutely rinsed going to these things. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, a jersey now, a fully loaded jersey, 120 quid. You go to a match, you know, chips on a burger is 15 quid. A pint is probably 7 or 8 quid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're getting absolutely rinsed from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So there's probably a bigger argument in terms of, you know, when we get into the whole greed thing. You know, it's been prevalent there for a long, long time now and has needed a shake-up. But yeah, it's like interesting times ahead, lads. You know what I mean? It's going to be it's going to be a struggle. I mean, do we feel? I mean, before we go off, I mean, do we feel that they're all going to come around the table and sort this out and come to an agreement?
Well,
I hope.
But it comes down to who deserves to be in the thing. Like for us, like we don't deserve to be in it because we are being shite this season. We're looking like we're gonna be finishing about 8th or 9th outside the European spot, so we don't deserve to be in it. Like the likes of United and City who finish in the top 4 every season, yes, they deserve it. The Chelsea's, the Liverpool's, but like we don't deserve it. Like there's no point us entering it and then we're gonna end up fucking really finishing last because we're not gonna beat the likes of whatever, the Bayern Munichs or whatever, if they do come into it, the Barcelona's, Real Madrid's, and like we're not going to beat them.
See, the problem, I suppose, at the moment, and Alex, you might want to take this as well, is how do you do the metrics on who gets in and who doesn't get in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why would AC Milan be in there and Nottingham Forest aren't in there?
Well, if I could point that out, I did look up before we did the show as well. I looked up the Forbes, I think it was top 20 richest football clubs, and I think every single one of the teams that have been mentioned are in that top 20. So there you go. That's the only qualification. How much money have you got?
Or how much money can you potentially bring in?
Exactly, because look at Ajax, 4-time European Cup winners. Look at Leicester, they won the league back in 2016. Not a mention.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting few weeks coming up now. I mean, they're going to try and have to recover some sort of a position to bring us back in as football fans. Because, you know, we were so buoyant last week. Chelsea into the semi-final, Man City into the semi-final, Spurs potentially winning their first trophy in God knows how long. A fantastic race for the top four in the league was shaping up. Like, I've spent the whole of today and I can't even think about the Leeds game tonight.
Yeah, like I texted you on Saturday night. I texted you when we But City was like, man, look, I'll come on that show Monday. I can't wait to chat about this game. I'm sitting here going, I don't care. I do not care to be beat City. As far as I'm concerned, they should award that cup to Leicester and be done with it.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute madness. As always, lads, thanks a million for coming on. Appreciate you jumping on a short notice. Always happens when someone gets sacked or the bottom falls out of something. We will watch this closely and we will talk to you again soon. Head over to YouTube, smash that bell notification and subscribe button. Also, check out Alex on Facebook, Le Chats.
Yeah.
Should be an
I
interesting
promise, I promise I'm in a better mood when I'm on the Jets.
Alex, get a football fan on there to chat a bit of comedy or something like that. Get Al Foran or someone on. Cheer people up, you know what I mean?
We'll tell you what, if I could leave on a thing like that, and I think football would be a popular topic for a comedian right now because what we've seen in the last 24 hours is a complete another joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, until next time, lads, appreciate you coming on and we'll chat again soon.